My name is Wyatt Peterson. I'm in Lori Manzel's Microbiome Lab Section B. Today is April 3rd, 2021. The experiment I did was the effects of washing your hands after handling deli meat. Deli meat is fairly common. A lot of people have deli meat sandwiches. They're pretty easy to take on the go. They're fast and simple and fairly inexpensive. According to the CDC, we should wash our hands after handling deli meats. This can prevent the spread of Listeria. Listeria is a foodborne bacterial illness. To prevent this, we should wash our hands after handling the meat, only keep lunch meat in the fridge for 3 to 5 days after purchasing it, and reduce the spread of the juices onto any other surfaces. If it does spread onto any other surfaces, we should wash that and disinfect it. This will prevent the spread of Listeria. Hypothesis. My hypothesis would be that there's less growth on the agar plates of washing my hands and using hand sanitizer. So how do we do these experiments? Well, first we need to look at the materials. The materials we had were deli meat, which was specifically turkey. I believe it was 3 days old. We had 3 nutrient agar plates where we put all our stuff on them. We had hand sanitizer, distilled water, and soap. Our first experiment followed these instructions. We placed our hand on the nutrient agar plate for 5 seconds and then spread it all around and incubated for 24 hours. This was a control group to see how much bacteria was on our hands to start with. Our next experiment was rubbing our hand on the meat for 10 seconds. We then placed our hand in the nutrient agar dish for 5 seconds, inoculated all around the agar dish, and incubated for 24 hours. This was to show how many bacterial colonies would grow from just touching an unwashed slice of deli meat. This was able to be compared to the ones where we did wash our hands. Our third experiment was where we placed our hand on the turkey for 10 seconds. We then used a squirt of hand sanitizer and rubbed our hands until dry. We then placed our hand on the agar plate for 5 seconds and held, and then inoculated it and incubated for 24 hours. We used this to compare with experiment number 4, which followed these instructions. We placed our hand on the turkey for 10 seconds, applied 1 squirt of soap, washed our hands thoroughly and scrubbed them for 20 seconds while we poured 15 milliliters of distilled water over our hands. We then air dried them, and our hand was placed on the agar plate for 5 seconds, inoculated, and then placed in the incubator for 24 hours. So our results. The purpose of this experiment was to show that after touching deli meat and washing your hands, that you will grow less bacteria. The data proved to be inconclusive. Overall, hand sanitizer was the best thing to use. It only grew 6 bacterial colonies, but the soap and water method ended up growing 320 colonies. So after looking at the data, my hypothesis was not supported because of the fact that the soap and water technique grew the most bacteria out of any of them. The possible problems with that could have been the drying process. When we dried, we kind of waved our hands in the air, and that could have picked up other bacteria in the air, or maybe we rubbed it on something when we were doing that, and that caused the discrepancy. Another one could have been the hand washing technique. Maybe we did not thoroughly wash our hands well enough, and this could cause more bacteria to grow. It also could have been a poor streaking technique. The rest of my group, when they streaked, the bacterial growth that grew was just one big blob, so you weren't able to get an accurate count on the rest of it, which then made the data inaccurate. And then here's my literature cited.